BigBear.AI started huge and then sold off right at market open. As you could tell, it's had some moves. In fact, we've had to make an executive decision to really hold this zone here. It just went about $3.77 below where we were targeting a stop loss there on our short-term trade. Long-term trade, we're still holding there with a $2.80 average. So why do you want to pay attention to BigBear.AI? Well, they're almost breaking pattern as of right now. You can see this company has had a very consistent uptrend, very consistent, and it's just now pushing below. It's sold off here. We had an entry right around market open, and we saw it, sell down just a tad, and now we're seeing it at this level at which, if it really continues down from here, we could see a true break in pattern there. So when it comes to Big Bear, there is a few things we want to pay attention to. The three things we look at when identifying a good company is the markets. Then we look at the analysis of the financials, the news, and the chart. And then we look at the plan for profit. In this video, we're just going to do the chart as well as take a look at a brief overview of some of their news, and then we'll jump into the profit plan. So they're in a very fast growing market. We were talking about this morning how when we're in a hyper bullish market, so in our daily live trading where we go live every morning, if you want to be there, it's the second link in the description. Some of you guys were asking, how do I get there? It's the second link down below. We were talking about how when we're in a hyper bullish market, a lot of times things, they sell off at market open and then have a big recovery throughout the day. When we're in, a classic cycle of, let's say, manipulation, distribution, and then accumulation, things start to look kind of like this, right? So right at market open, we see a big push up, just kind of an unreal push up to 421. Then we start to see it sell down from 421. It's selling down below 4. And then we talked very strongly. We had this previous support here mapped out. We said, hey, we got to watch 385, but really that 370 to 380 is super important that it's able to hold that level, because otherwise we could see it break some supports. So after started to kind of recover for just a moment there at market open and then sold down more. Now it's holding below this moving average. You see that green line, it's getting rejected. And we talked about this morning, we're saying, it's just getting rejected by that moving average. What we want to see is a break above. Now, we haven't had that confirmation. So what we're watching here with Big Bear is if we're going to see a continued upward direction of potentially playing out this trend that it's had since beginning of April, which would be something along the lines of this, right? Maybe not super fast. Maybe it's, delayed out or something like this, but something like this, where it gets that 30% swing upwards. That's a continuation of their bullish trend. Now, with the recent announcements in the market, you had some sell-offs on SPY to start the day, but for the most part, we're holding above green. You see SPY ended the day up 0.5% there. Mostly seems like it was carried there by Nvidia and also AMD, as well as Taiwan Semiconductor doing well, and Tesla not doing so shabby either. So what we're looking at was, if it continues that overall direction, we see the market continue green, it is possible it still holds this trend, and that's what we're kind of watching. On the other hand, now it's time to manage risk on the short-term position here, because we're down about $234 there. Overall, portfolio's up about 0.3%, so we're still in the green. Probably there because of AMD stock. Tesla and Nvidia did okay, so that was probably what held us there. And now BBAI is trying to hold this $3.80 range, and we're really gonna be pretty strict on the short-term stop. So I did let it go about 0.03 further than where I initially planned to have a stop, because I thought, this is a zone here. It just hit back here a few times down in this 370 range. So I would imagine if we start to see it break below 370, we're really starting to see a break in pattern, and that's when some serious bears could kick in. So if we go to sleep tonight, which we will, I'm going to most likely set a stop here around that 370. I had a stop at 380, and then we had to make a decision. I was like, I don't know that it's really, it's almost holding above 380, so it's possible it drops just a tad further. Now, on top of that, when it comes to Big Bear, if you are wondering why are they surging, what's with this recent trend, what's making up the trend, a lot of the reasons why, that while they've had some insider selling for sure, that's always going to be part of the game, but they've also had a very nice outlook on their news for partnerships. So if you could look at the institutional holdings, they're good. You got the biggest companies in the world really looking to continue to buy them. BlackRock's downsized just a tad bit, but still holding about 8 million shares. You got Vanguard as well as State Street. And then the question then becomes, what is driving them from a product perspective? And when we're looking at BigBear.AI, the biggest increase in their stock most likely going to be as a result of more contracts. And you have to watch out here because you have a lot of these things. Shareholders have the right to lead a lawsuit here. So it says shareholders can lead a lawsuit. Is there any actual lawsuits in place? Nope. It just says investors can lead a lawsuit. Do you want to sue them? Call us now. We can have a lawsuit. If you want to do a lawsuit, we'll help you. This is what they're saying, right? So that's pretty common. It happens quite often. And then from a product perspective, they got two things that really stand out. They have their contracts with all the airports, and they got Department of Defense. They have Pentagon contracts, U.S. Navy exercising maritime domain AI orchestration. They're working with the different seaports and what have you, and even a little bit with some drone technology, and they're partnered with Palantir. Now, when it comes to their main focus, though, I think where they're going to see a lot of their influx of capital is most likely going to be in their facial scanning at the airports. When it comes down to some of their other different solutions, this is a virtual anticipation network. Haven't heard of this one. Seems to be maybe fairly new that they just released. And essentially how it works, it's tensor completion, originally developed for quantum mechanics, enables advanced automation by learning relationships across multiple dimensions. This approach aggregates and analyzes signals from sparse data, filling gaps left by traditional methods. Though through machine learning, it independently predicts outcomes and enhances downstream modeling, becoming more accurate as additional data improves its confidence. So it's interesting. I don't know that they're saying it's like a quantum computer or anything like that, but they're basically saying we are using auto machine learning that has forecast for what if type of scenarios on targeted decision optimization. So different decisions could be related to basically anything defense related. So whether it's people entering and exiting through the US, could be Department of Homeland Security, Border Security, could be related to all of the different threats in the airport, of all the different profiles that come in, their demographics, maybe their connections of what we know about their criminal history or things like that. That's pretty interesting. So when it comes to their technology that they're dropping, I see them doing new products, which is really key for them to keep innovating and seeing more contracts pop in. So I'm cool with that. They got the employees to cover it. And then the last solution I think is going to be super key for them is going to be the VeriScan. So the VeriScan is going to be at airports. That's like this, where it scans your face. And it's a very, very, I would say one of the fastest growing technologies that's making its way into the airports. So you see them trusted by some airlines. You got them at Denver International Airport. I got to actually use them. They scanned my face. You got to see them at, I think it was North Carolina airports. And that is starting to make its way out. So when it comes to the profit plan for Big Bear, what we're looking at here as you can see, it's trying to hold this support level at 380. That's what we want to see happen. Long-term position, we're fine. We're going to hold. That's what we'll continue to do. When it comes to the short-term positions, this is a key level here. Really the bottom, 370. That's really the bottom. You can see this previous resistance here. And it faced some manipulation this morning. We saw right at market open again, it spiked big up to 421. I think we're up 200 at that point. And then it corrected down, and we're still kind of holding in our plan right now. So RSI, MACD do look oversold, but doesn't mean that it's going to reverse. As you can see, it's holding below that EMA, and potentially will just get rejected and could sell down further. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to some of the fast growing opportunities in the markets, AI is one, defense is one. We're going to be looking at space stocks, quantum computing, and this stock at one point has had moments where it's soared. We've seen it soar and fly up to $10.36. And that was, I want to say, at that moment, they were around a $3 to $5 billion market cap. And then they sold off. They've seen some, consolidation. We got about, on the short-term position, 1,378 shares. And so, small, not huge position, pretty small here on the short term, but we're looking for the longer term payoff potentially into this $7 to $10 range. Maybe it takes 6 months, maybe it takes 3 months, maybe it takes a year, but we like to play the swings in the volatility because, as you can see, when it's in pattern, it's quite consistent, and more times than not, we're able to make money trading this stock as it's in a market that's been growing. And we didn't really, we didn't short it, but we didn't really touch it when it was on its way down with the rest of the market. In fact, during that time, we were shorting by buying the inverse of semiconductors. So we'll most likely be looking at that. But again, about 1,300 shares. So we'll be watching it closely and making more videos on it. Going to be covering some nuclear stocks as well. If you guys want to watch me trade live in nuclear stocks, which we're about to do, I'm excited for that. We got AI companies, space stocks, and quantum. It's the second link in the description. Huge sale there for Stockmates. If you want to join us tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, when the market opens for the stock market, you want to see us trade and join our live session, then I would encourage you guys to simply take a look at the second link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts on Big Bear. I was just saying, some of the best stocks we've covered recently have come from you guys, and especially in our Stockmate community, from you guys bringing the stocks. That's really where a lot of the value is. People tend to think that I have this, spawning ability to just look at this stock, look at this stock. I always know, but I'll tell you, it doesn't start that way. So a lot of times how it starts is with you guys and surrounding yourself with other investors that are looking at those opportunities. Yeah. So I don't know. My dog's been fed, but she's whining a little bit. My wife just let her in because we're remodeling a kitchen right now, and we're selling the old oven. And someone's coming to meet her, probably on Facebook Marketplace, and so didn't want her to get barked at by the dog, so she let in Kona. Kona's in here. Anyway, guys, appreciate you all. See you in the next one. Take care.